The reason Biden got so many judges pushed through is because they weren't activist judges, because they were people that both Democrats and Republicans could agree on, and they got them pushed through. Almost exclusively moderate judges. And they're lying to you, and they're making up these stories. They're activist judges, just so that when they strip the court's rights to rule against Trump, and when Trump tells the Supreme Court no, you've already been conditioned to be like, oh yeah, of course, they're the evil ones. The judges are evil. Congress is evil. Democrats are evil. Everybody's evil but Donald Trump. All right, so here's Chuck Grassley. This is Brian Baez. I couldn't find the original clip here, and he seems to have fixed the audio, so it sounds a little better. Here was Chuck Grassley in Iowa getting confronted about Trump's unwillingness to listen to the Supreme Court.
Never in a million years would I have ever thought that in Republican-ass Iowa, I would have heard something like this.
You're going to bring that guy back from El Salvador? Supreme Court said to bring him back. Trump don't care. Because he's got an order from the Supreme Court and he just said no. Yeah. He just said, screw it.
I'll be the next subject here.
Excuse me, Senator. Senator, excuse me on that.
Then he tried to change the subject without answering the question, and then...
Senator, excuse me on that same subject. Hey, excuse me, Senator Grassley, on that same subject. The Constitution, the framers of the Constitution, said that every person, not citizen, every person within the jurisdiction of the United States has due process. And we would like to know what you, as the people, the Congress, who are supposed to rein in this dictator, what are you going to do about it? These people have been sentenced to life imprisonment in a foreign country with no due process. Our government cannot do anything. Why won't you do your job, Senator? Yes, why? Obey the Supreme Court. Trump's not obeying the Supreme Court. He just ignores them. Yeah, screw it.
Yeah. These are all good questions. By the way, George Soros seems to be investing heavily in denim now. And the question that he asked there is the fair question. Like, what are you going to do? You can't do anything about this? You can't do anything? That's your job. Your job is to provide checks and balances. Here's Mike Johnson saying exactly what they're going to do.
Mr. Speaker.
Not sure yet.
But Mr. Speaker, there's a push by some of your members to give Congress a say. Don Bacon has a bill to give Congress a say and review the tariffs. Why not give Congress the opportunity to have it be a check on the president?
Congress will weigh in on it, but with the president, with the administration in tandem, and I think you got to give the president the latitude.
Okay, that's regarding tariffs. Now, let me show you what he said yesterday. Here's what we're going to do. Just like Marjorie Taylor Greene said, we're not here to do the work of Congress. We're not here to do the work of the American people. We're here to do the work of Donald Trump.
We're talking about this problem of rogue rulings. And, the Democrats, our colleagues here, they talk all about this so-called constitutional crisis that they see around every tree. They don't like President Trump's policies, and so that's their catchphrase they use for everything. But there really is a constitutional crisis that's developing. It's not the one that the Democrats claim, though.
Oh, yeah. It's not Trump telling the Supreme Court no. That's not the constitutional crisis. Okay, just so you guys know. And he's telling you, because you have to be spoon-fed your ideas, MAGA. So when Donald Trump says, fuck you, checks and balances, that's not a constitutional crisis. What is a constitutional crisis is...
Listen to these numbers, and we've shared them before. 67% of all injunctions issued by district court judges against a president since the year 2000 were issued against one man, and his name's President Donald J. Trump.
Oh, yeah.
92% of those injunctions against the president were issued by Democrat-appointed judges.
100% of the people charged in a double murder case of O.J. Simpson's ex-wife and a waiter were O.J. Simpson. 100% of them. Did you know that? 100% of people who bombed Pearl Harbor came from the Japanese army. Did you know that? You guys know that? 100% of the bombs that went off in Oklahoma City at the FBI building in Oklahoma City were left there by Timothy McVeigh. Did you know that? Yeah. The dude's a fucking criminal. Yeah, we get it. He doesn't obey the Constitution. This is a crazy fucking argument. The constitutional crisis is not the courts saying, hey, you keep breaking the Constitution, Donald Trump. The constitutional crisis is that the courts are saying you keep breaking the Constitution. It's the courts that are all wrong. Even though these have been Trump judges, they've been Biden judges, they've been Obama judges, they've been Ronald Reagan judges, they've been George Bush judges. They come from all across the political spectrum, but they're all working together to go after Donald Trump. Notice he said it's the Democrats, it's the liberals. These justices that are giving injunctions to Donald Trump, 67, they come from all across the political spectrum. And by the way, two of the judges, they just ruled 9-0 in favor of not Donald Trump, despite what they might tell you, were nominated by Donald Trump. His own Supreme Court justices are ruling against him. People he put in place are ruling against him. And Mike Johnson's out here trying to convince you this is a constitutional crisis. The courts have gone rogue. What are we going to do about it?
92% of those injunctions against the president were issued by Democrat-appointed judges. There's a problem. I've mentioned before, I was a constitutional law litigator, routinely would run into judges that I would...
What percentage of the people who were deported to El Salvador were deported with a conservative judge? Most of them. They take them to Louisiana to do this. Yeah, judge shopping's a problem. You should do something about that, Mike Johnson. If you don't like this, fix fucking judge shopping. Fix that. Don't take away the court's authority to rule.
Described as activists, but it was much more rare than it is now. And It's a problem that has been noted needs to be addressed. Under the existing framework, one singular district court judge out of 677 of them, anywhere in America, can subvert the will of the duly elected president carrying out his constitutional duties.
That's what checks and balances are for. That's why we wrote the Constitution this way. That's what judges fucking do. Can you believe that one judge can rule? Yeah, I can, because I made it through high school. Like, I went through civics. I watched Schoolhouse Rock. I know how this shit works. Can you believe that? Yes, I can. That was by design. Remember when we, right after the election, we talked about like the oligarchy and how they just don't believe in democracy anymore. They think that democracy is a problem. They don't like our Constitution. People like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel that were pumping millions of dollars into Donald Trump. They all want democracy to end. They're funneling money to this guy too. You're just telling me that these guys, Mike Johnson and Donald Trump, are getting hundreds of millions of dollars from people who want to get rid of the Constitution and undo democracy and privatize states. You're telling me that those people aren't pressuring him right now to undo democracy? Sure.
And they're doing that. And so we've got to step into this. Despite the American people's wholesale rejection of Democrat ideas at the ballot box, you have activist judges who are abusing the system to legislate from the bench. That's effectively what an activist judge is.
There's no such thing as an activist judge, you dumb motherfucker. This is what they do. They just give you words. They give you catchphrases. Activist judges. Rogue rulings. They're rogue because you know why they're rogue? You know why they seem weird? Because you guys keep breaking the fucking Constitution, because nobody's ever seen cases like this. And the whole point of Project 2025 is to test the courts, to do things that no one has ever done and see if the courts will strike it down or not. This is the plan. The plan requires them being in court all the fucking time. Did you read it? This is what's crazy. They lay out this plan. They're like, here's Project 2025. We're going to try all this shit and we're going to take it to the courts and we're going to force them to rule. And then when they rule, what we're going to do is we're just going to convince all you guys that they're going rogue, that this is business as usual, but they're all just against Trump. Their plan is to find loopholes and test it. And the courts repeatedly are saying this is a theory that has not been tested. And because it hasn't been tested, it needs to be litigated. You can't just do it. You can't just do whatever the fuck you want because it's not in the Constitution. So that's why the courts are involved, because Trump's plan was to get them involved. That was the plan all along. That's why they bragged so openly about, look at all these judges we got. Look at all these judges we got. And coincidentally, it's why Biden was so effective at also getting judges pushed through and nominated and then pushed through. Because what he did, the reason Biden got so many judges pushed through is because they weren't activist judges. Because they were people that both Democrats and Republicans could agree on, and they got them pushed through. These are moderate judges, almost exclusively moderate judges. And they're lying to you, and they're making up these stories. They're activist judges, just so that when they strip the court's rights to rule against Trump, and when Trump tells the Supreme Court no, you've already been conditioned to be like, oh yeah, of course, they're the evil ones. The judges are evil. Congress is evil. Democrats are evil. Everybody's evil but Donald fucking Trump. Oh, you're a Republican and you're not voting for this bill that Trump wants? Oh, you're evil too. It's a fucking cult.
This is not how the system our founders designed is supposed to work. Under our Constitution, we have 3 co-equal branches of government, each with the ability to provide a check on the other. And we do have that authority. Democrats seem to have forgotten that. I mentioned at a press conference or a gaggle, maybe it was last week with all of you, I can't remember so many of these, but somebody asked me repeatedly about, impeachment, and they asked me about our authority under the Constitution. What authority do we have under Article 3? The Congress is given the authority to determine, define, fund all lower courts. Only the Supreme Court has mentioned itself in the Constitution, and the lower courts are within the purview of the Congress. And I was asked, and
whether you like it or not, whether you agree with him or not, what he's talking about, just so we're very clear here, is he is saying that if judges make rulings that you don't like, that you disagree with as a member of Congress, you can get rid of those judges. And that's fine. Like, I think that there's a reason that they have that power. But the Supreme Court is agreeing with you too. What injunctions were egregious? Every one of these injunctions has been made when the Trump administration has admitted a mistake. In every one of these cases, the Trump administration has admitted that they made a mistake and they deported somebody, or they put somebody in prison or deported somebody that should not have been deported legally. So somebody help me figure this out. The Trump administration admits it. The judges are right, and Mike Johnson wants to strip the judges' power even though they're right. That's why I'm concerned here. That's why all of us are concerned here, is because everybody, including you guys, seem to agree that these were mistakes, that people got deported or thrown in prison who were not criminals, where there was no legal justification to deport them. Everybody, 100% of us agree on that, except for people who don't pay attention. But the Trump administration has admitted that they made these mistakes, and the judges ruled in favor of the people that they made the mistake with. And now we have Mike Johnson saying, yeah, Trump made mistakes, and the judges ruled that he made mistakes, but now we're going to take away their right to do that. We have to strip their rights to be able to rule like this, even though it's a mistake. The fuck are we doing?
I offered the answer, yes. I mean, we could defund those courts. I wasn't saying, let me clarify, I wasn't saying that we're doing that. I was trying to describe what the Constitution says. Go read it for yourselves. We have broad scope. We have all authority over the lower courts, okay? We're not defunding courts, and we're not doing anything other than limiting in this legislation the ability of a judge to issue a nationwide injunction, because that is the problem that has gotten totally out of control. And we need this check on the judiciary, and I think we're going to prove that on the floor. One activist judge should not issue a nationwide injunction against the president's policies, and these district courts have to stay within their constitutional bounds.
There's really not that many of you who think this was a mistake, which it was not. Well, take that up with Trump. Take that up with their administration. They admitted it was a mistake. Take that up with the attorneys that are representing the government who are saying that they made a mistake. I don't know. Are they lying too?